Hi everyone, Jacqueline here. So today we're going to start some Delphinium seed. Now I normally do not grow Delphinium seed inside, so I don't usually start early. I usually direct sow because it works really well for me. I've been growing Delphinium for many years and I've had a lot of success with them. I learned the hard way how to start these seeds outdoors and what they require for a long life in the summer. Now, there are a few things about Delphinium that I want to share with you if you want to grow them. Number one, the two key things that are a problem with Delphinium are the fact that they do get powdery mildew in the summer from overhead watering. So if you can water at the root level, you will be far better off and you can avoid some of the powdery mildew, although you can still get it when it rains. The other thing is they need staking. So if you can plant them in a sheltered spot in your yard where they aren't going to get a lot of wind, they can do very well there. However, if they are in an open spot, you definitely need to stake them and stake them well. I've been caught off guard by not staking my Delphinium right away and a big wind come up and they're toppled over and I am totally bummed out because the flowers are toast. So I have to cut them back down and start them over from ground level. And that's such a shame when you're looking forward to that big profusion of blooms, that showstopper abundance of delphiniums. Because when you mass plant them, there's nothing like them in the garden for color. They're stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think delphiniums are the truest shades of blue in the garden because of the deep royal blues, the baby blues, robin egg blues that you see in these. They have beautiful shades of lavenders, magentas, some pinks, various shades of deep royal purples, and of course a beautiful white with a black center on it, or even a green center on it. The newer varieties, some of them have even more green in the centers on them. Now, there are dwarf varieties out there of delphiniums, and you'll see them more in the pink tones and some of the baby blues or robin eggs blues. But for the most part, delphiniums are the plant that's going to grow super tall for you, and they rival hollyhocks for height if they're happy. Now, my delphinium can get up to 6 feet tall in my garden. They are a showstopper, and I'll show some footage here in this video of how they look. They are amazing. But I have to keep them in check and I have to make sure they're getting adequate water. So that is the key. So to start these inside, the simplest way, and I'm going to follow the same rules that I use when I start them outside, which is I'm going to sow them on top of the soil. These are very tiny seed. They're just like carrot seed, extremely tiny. They're going to take at least 2 weeks to sprout inside or outside in the right conditions. But the key with these is the minute they sprout, get that humidity dome off of them when you're growing them inside, because you don't want powdery mildew in your seedlings. And they do not like humidity. So that is one thing about delphinium. Humidity is very damaging to delphinium. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to start them, and I hope you'll give it a try. But I would recommend sowing them outside before sowing them inside. That's just my preference. They're so easy to sow. You don't need to start them inside, but I'm going to do it this year just for the fun of it. And you will get blooms sooner than later if you do start them inside. So it is February now. It's a bit early, but we're going to go for it, and I'll just have to keep them going until I can get them out the door. So let's do this. So the seed starting mix that we're using, once again, is the Jiffy Premium Seed Starting Mix. I love this soil. It's been great for starting plants. It was really a game changer for me using this soil, so I have been continuing to use it whenever I start any seedlings. Now, my personal reason for starting to grow delphinium was because when I lived in Moose Jaw and started gardening in my own little house, we got our first house, Rob and I wanted to grow delphinium, but I was constantly buying them from the greenhouses or from the stores there that had them, and they were pretty expensive. Like, to get one plant was $3, $4, $5. So I decided this is getting really costly because I'm totally addicted to these flowers. I need to figure out a way to grow them. So I started experimenting with how I could grow them direct sow in my yard, figured out a few things that worked really, really well. And then I was able to grow the rest of them from seed. And I could get them to 5 or 6 feet tall in one season if I followed some simple principles. Starting these seed inside and show you and share with you what the principles are for growing them. So I have my soil mixture here. I've already treated it with boiling water and let it cool and let it dry out a bit so that it only forms a nice ball like this. We will come back and mist the seeds after we have spread them on top of the soil. So let's fill this tray here. I'm not going to use individual cells for Delphinium. I'm going to spread them out in this tray because they are a large leaf plant. They won't be initially, but they will be in the long run. So this is the Jiffy soil. And I'm just going to scoop it in here. You guys have seen me do this quite a few times. I'm sure you've seen lots of gardening channels fill their trays with soil. So this is no different. And I got this little scooper. I need to get a metal scooper. It's something I need to add to my arsenal for doing these jobs. Because normally I shovel by hand. So I'm trying to get smarter and better at time saving by taking advantage of tools that do these jobs for me and make things easy. So we're just going to spread this out. And I'm making this pretty thick so I don't have to do as much transplanting, because transplanting I consider the enemy. I ended up doing a lot of transplanting last year with tomatoes and coleus, and I started them way too soon. And although it was beautiful to see them grow, it was a nightmare to have to keep potting them up. So I don't want to be in that same situation considering I'm starting these a bit early, but we will enjoy the blooms sooner than later. That's the advantage. So I'll just spread this out a bit more and make sure that this is all filled nicely and break up any little clumps. I really love this soil. And by using the boiling water method, which I did a short on just recently, you save on dealing with gnats big time. The odd time when you use the boiling water method, if you don't soak the soil well enough, you can have some gnats survive, one-ofs. But for the most part, I soak it really well and I let the soil dry for a few days before I use it and mix and keep mixing it and stirring it so it's not sloppy wet. All right, so now we have the tray is totally full. And you can see it here, and I'm going to zero in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'll put my dirt out of the way. So we're going to take this, and these are the Pacific Giants. Now the Pacific Giants are my absolute favorite to grow because you never know what you're going to get for colors, and they're just gorgeous. And you can collect the seeds off of these too and plant some more of them. Now, one trick I like to do is I always like to buy a few extra packages when they have them out, because Delphinium seed sells out super fast, specifically the Pacific Giants. Now that was a mouthful. And so I always buy a couple extra so I can direct sow them in the garden in spots that need something tall and colorful, or if I need an area where it needs a lot of blues and purples. So don't forget to pick up a few extra packages that you can use throughout the summer to start more. You will thank me for that. All right, so there isn't that many seeds in here, but I'm just going to do one pack. Like I said, these are going to grow 5 to 6 feet high. Every year they get a little bit taller and a little bit thicker. You cut them back once they're done blooming, and you will get a second bloom out of them if your season is long enough. Now I am in zone 3B in Saskatchewan, so our season is very short. Although 2023, I shouldn't say this year, although 2023, it ended up being a really long season. I mean, I was planting tulips in November, but we don't always have seasons like that. So you can see how small these seeds are right there. And I'm just going to sprinkle them. Just very carefully sprinkle them very sparingly throughout the tray. I don't want them all bunched up, because if you get them bunched up, you're going to be moving them. We're just going to do that. And there is the odd one that I have shot out of the container. All right, so we're just putting them on top of the soil. So with this being a seed starting mix and putting the seed on top of the soil, we will get really good germination if we keep it moist. So what I want to do now is I want to moisten the soil. So I'm just going to use my sprayer. And although it's a heavy spray, it's okay because it'll make good penetration with that soil. I'm just going along the edges. And I'm just going to come through and wet all the soil. Now what I'm going to do, and this is something different, I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to press the soil and the seed into one another. So basically I'm pressing the seed into the soil and they're making contact. So that's not too wet, you guys. That is pretty reasonable. All right, so you can see, not extremely wet. We're going to put our humidity dome on this and we're going to put it under our grow lights. Like I said, it's going to take at least 2 weeks for these to germinate. It isn't going to be one of those things where the package says it's going to be, 7 to 10 days. It will be 2 weeks for these to germinate. And this is experience talking because I have spent a lot of time learning how to grow these and what conditions they like and what they don't like and how fast they grow. Now, hopefully, being it's warmer, maybe 12 days, we'll see. But outside, it's definitely a good 2 weeks with constant moisture to get them to germinate. So we'll put these under the grow lights now. So there they are. They're underneath my grow light in my kitchen. This is where I start most of my seedlings, and it works really well for me. I can really keep a good eye on them when I'm in the kitchen because let's face it, we spend most of our time in the kitchen. Now, I'm not writing tags for these if I don't have to. So what I'm doing is I'm just taping the label to this tray because it's the easiest way to identify these flowers and to remember what they are. And just put it on the cover is where I put it. And then I'll move it to the bottom after. That way I can still lift up the cover and check them. That keeps it simple. Now I'll turn the grow light on, which gives you quite the glare. So you can see here the beautiful colors in the Delphinium. There is a variety of shades of blue. That's why they're my favorite perennial, particularly because of the blue shades. Now you can see also in this video that I had a lot of powdery mildew right up next to the step. That's where it was worst. When you get further down the line of the Delphiniums, you will notice not so much powdery mildew. So to treat powdery mildew, if you want to treat it, is you can take milk and make sure it has lactose in it, and you can wash the leaves with the milk, and that will get rid of the powdery mildew. That's the easiest solution. I tend to just leave it, and then when they're done blooming, I cut them back down to the ground and get all those leaves off, and then they'll come up for another growth and they won't have the powdery mildew. Now this is from humidity, overwatering, and it can be from a lot of rain that you will get powdery mildew. It doesn't hurt the plant. You don't need to remove the plants or pull them out. They will survive. Now, a couple of things before I end this video. I want to mention that I'm going to try to get back to doing videos Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm kind of off in my video schedule. Also, I want to let you know I got rid of about 100 old videos that weren't being watched. So you will notice if I don't see a lot of viewers watching my videos, I will remove them, you guys. So I need you to come out, subscribe to the channel, and watch my videos and give me a thumbs up and a like, because I really need that support to keep those videos going, or I will remove the ones that don't get watched. There's a lot of gardeners out there on YouTube, and I don't want to duplicate content. However, I really need you to watch the videos. So I would appreciate that. That would make a big difference for me and keeping the channel going. Because when I don't see people watch them, I really start thinking maybe it isn't worthwhile that I spend the time doing these videos. So I need your support. To those of you that already support me, thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.